Hello ladies and gents, this is a new video brought to you by Ants Hood, and today's video is about my Solenopsis geminata. Cool, but very, very hard work. Now don't get me wrong, I've got no intention to get rid of these ladies because I really do enjoy keeping them, but they are very, very hard work. But if you haven't seen my playlist regarding these girls, I've got some very informative videos on them, so by all means check out the link in the top right corner now to check out their playlist. Normally what I'll do is a little update on how they're getting on in the nest with some macro shots, but because I didn't do that before doing all my cleaning out and stuff yesterday, and after giving them 2 baby mice and a cockroach, I'm going to do that towards the end of the video because that was the most recent footage I took. So just bear that in mind. But anyway, let's crack on with this video. Now you guys know, I've talked about in other videos why these girls are such pains in the bums to keep, because they're so keen to escape. They're so always testing the boundaries, always trying to get out of somewhere, and it's just an absolute nightmare for them because you have to be totally on board with your escape prevention, should I say. And as you guys know that on my Instagram, the barrier failed the other day on the Outworld. You can see just the top left now, and I just emergency did a barrier around the opening so they couldn't get out with that one. But I need to address that, and I haven't addressed it yet because the barrier that I have got around the openings actually stopping that, them getting out, should I say. But it's something I need to work on. But at the moment, this video was mainly about cleaning them out and the issues that I've got, and then we've got some great footage at the end towards them destroying 2 pinkies or baby mices and a cockroach. And 24 hours later, there's only the bit of cockroaches left, but I'll talk about that in a sec. Now, if you look at this Outworld, it does look absolutely disgustingly dirty. Now, this isn't because I am completely incompetent when it comes to cleaning out my ants, because I'm not. But I think what you will come to appreciate, which you'll see later on in this video, is the actual difficulties and the issues you have with just cleaning these guys out, and then you can understand why they get such a big pile of dirt that builds up. Now, these cockroach bits that I'm picking up now aren't too difficult because they're mainly in the other Outworld, because I've got some, I think it's the jelly pots in there, one that they're processing, so a lot of their attention's directed towards that Outworld. And realistically speaking, when you've got the kind of numbers that I've got, which are easily 10 to 15,000 strong, you need to distract them, because otherwise you've got no hope in cleaning them out. And as you can see here, I'm picking out the bits of cockroach that are left behind, because I think they're still processing one that's left in the old Outworld. The other Outworld I can't quite remember now. And then this is what I have to do. I have to take it out, and then I have to put it on top, and then with the cotton bud is then I pick off all of the ants that are there. Believe it or not, cleaning these out yesterday, because you have to be very, very methodical, and because of the amount of workers that are there that are constantly all over the place, it gets very time consuming. And believe it or not, this is the easy point that I'm talking about here. Picking up the nice big bits of cockroaches, it's not an issue, it's not a drama. Get a couple of workers on it because they're distracted by it, so that's fine and dandy like sugar candy. It's not too difficult. But if you look to your bottom right now in the Outworld, you can see there's a large like grey browny area. Now what that actually is that's the hydration, what is it, gypsum I think he uses, in the Wakooshi Gen 3 nest. And they've actually excavated a lot of that out of the nest and deposited it in this nice big pile here. Now, not only that though, it kind of goes hard as well, so I can't just easily hoover it up because they've welded it, cemented it together is probably the best way to look at it. It's pretty hard, and you'll see later on that I actually have to get in there with the tweezers to break it up. But that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is you're just looking at that area. What can you tell me about it? It is absolutely packed full, rammed of ants. And this is the issue with them, because trying to clean this out with any decent amount of like laboratory style cleanliness, it's just impossible. You physically can't do it, because these aren't average ants. They're very small, they get everywhere, and most of all they sting. And you'll see a bit later on when I do actually attack this area, it's so difficult. So when people sit there and say, oh, you're a rubbish ant keeper, Hood, because you're not cleaning out the rubbish piles. I mean, literally guys, I do clean out these rubbish piles, but it's a mission. Everything that I'm doing, you can see what I'm doing now in the video, and when I'm cleaning out that area there, I was at this yesterday I think it was, for the best part of 3 hours, just cleaning this setup. And that's why they're so hard, because they're so labor intensive. They take up so much time to just do simple maintenance like that. And literally would empty out the graveyard, and then within a week it's back up to where it was before, because they don't live very long. Small ants, generally speaking, and this is very much a generalisation, and there will be people that prove me wrong, generally don't live that long. And Solenopsis are the same. They're small ants, they don't live very long, but the queen just produces so many eggs, the numbers just keep increasing. And their graveyard does increase generally. Does grow very quickly, and this is the kind of issue you get with them. And as you can see here, I have not got much issue at the moment cleaning them out, but just wait until I attack that area to the right. It's a nightmare, and there's no other way around it. It's just hard work. And this is what I'm talking about. Just look how many workers are all over that pile of rubbish here. Now it's near on, you can't do anything but hoover this up, because other than that you can't put this out individually because the bits are so small, so you've got no choice. Which means you're going to be hoovering up loads of ants. And if you look here, I've already loosened this up with the tweezers, but you can't see that. But I'm hoovering it up, and if you look, this time lapse is because the video would have been too long otherwise. And you can see that I've got ants just crawling all over the place. And you think it's bad now? All I'm doing is picking up the powdered stuff. Wait until I attack that big pile there, and just look how many ants are swarming over it as I'm cleaning it up. It's, like I said, it is a very difficult, very time consuming, and it's not like normal ants. I mean, if these were Camponotus in these numbers, it wouldn't be an issue, because Camponotus are a lot easier to deal with because they're such big ants. These are teeny tiny, they get everywhere and they sting. Now this next time lapse, just look how many workers are all over it, and look how much I hoover up when just trying to attack that pile just a little bit. Now this time lapse went on for ages, obviously, but because I've picked up so many ants, I spent a lot of time sifting the ants out of the rubbish and getting stung a lot as well, but hey ho. Now after I attacked that, I literally left it, but as you can see, just look how many ants are all over this area. This is why this pile builds up like it does. It's not me neglecting my ants, because I look after all my ants really well, but when you've got a small species like this, which are incredibly difficult to clean out, and especially like these guys, bear in mind this isn't even the busy Outworld, all over the pile like this, you can't clean it out easily. There's just no way around it. People say I'm crazy for keeping these, and they're probably right. I don't have a lot of spare time, but even though I find these girls very difficult to keep, I still do enjoy them. Like I said, it took 3 hours to clean this setup up yesterday. 3 hours when I've got 30 other colonies to sort out as well, so it's very time consuming. And that these guys, people need to know what they're getting into when they get these guys, because they're such hard work. The hard work keeping up with the numbers, they cost a lot of money. As I said in my previous video, this setup alone cost me best part of £300. It is not, or what it retails for, should I say. It's not cheap, and trying to control these girls and clean them out and stuff is near on impossible. You have to use smart tactics, distract them out of one Outworld, and then attack it. And you'll see some footage I took today when I noticed that the Outworld was a bit sparse, the messy one, so I managed to get in there and get a lot of it up again. But that's the kind of stuff you have to use with these girls. So this was taken just before I started editing this video, and I've seen the opportunity. This Outworld wasn't very busy because they're still processing the 2 baby mices and the cockroach, and we'll get onto that in a bit, swearsies. And I've seen the opportunity to attack this, so I've cleaned a lot more of it out, but still I can't get all of it because the number of ants will crawl all over it. And as soon as you disturb an area, then they just swarm the Outworld anyway, because they either think it's prey or think it's a threat, so they swarm it. So it's very much hit and miss with these girls. You have to do it in small blocks. Don't be afraid to get them if you've got the time and the energy to look after them. I do, because I love them, but others really need to consider if they're looking at getting these girls. I'm say that from the bottom of my heart. They are not for everyone. But let's move on to the fun stuff and watch this time lapse of me when I first put a mouse in there. It did not take long for them to react. Now I do wish I did this in real time, because it's literally blink of an eye and they suddenly swarm. But this is what it's like when I put the mouse in. So I drop it in a time lapse and boom, there is literally loads of them. Just look, they're all over the place. But anyway, let's crack on with the time lapse. So as you can see, they waste no time. But if you also look, there's bulges of them that come round to it. It's like shadows that move around to it. You'll see them in a second. Get your eyes in with this time lapse, and you can see big concentration of them just coming in and moving off, then coming in and moving off. But now you can't see it because I moved the camera. But what you can see is them taking bits off and then processing it as they walk around the place. Now, I do love time lapses, but there's one thing I love more in a time lapse, and that's a macro shot. I absolutely love macro shots. So while I was actually filming the time lapse, I also filmed this as well. And this is where you get the detail and you can see them processing it. They strip it. What they do with it is they generally strip the skin off it, and then work on the softer insides. Now, a lot of ants that I've seen processing mice, they generally get an access point and just go in there and clear out the insides while stripping the skin. But these girls seem to go out in. They don't go in and out. It's kind of weird. Interesting, but weird. And what you've just missed there is that I put a cockroach in as well, because I wanted to see how they would divide the workforce. Would they concentrate mainly on the mice because it's more protein, or would they go half and half? The truth is, I did that bit and then completely forgot to film any part of it, so I can't answer that question this time, but maybe next time. So this is them just now before entering the video, and as you can see, those little globules, that's all that's left of the mice. And what I love about, look, check this out. You can see they've got a trail going from the entrance up to the cockroach, but you've also got a trail from the mouse going round the rubbish, joining that main trail and into the tunnel. That's the kind of stuff that I love. Oh, I'd love this kind of stuff. This is behaviour I'd love to observe. Now, this Outworld is not big enough for them. The 2 Outworlds I've got are not big enough for them. So what I'm going to do going forward is get a lot more Outworlds for them, and then get some trails going with tubing and stuff, because clearly they need a bigger foraging area, because what I've got isn't big enough. But just look how many I've got in this Outworld at the moment, and just look at that. This is what I'm talking about, such hard work. I've got to clean it out at some point. But if you look here, this Outworld's not so busy, and then I clean it out. But have a look at the tubing, it's full. This nest is full. That nest is not too bad at the moment. It's fullish, but there's bags of space, and there's still bags of space here. So it's not all doom and gloom for space. They can still expand, but they just need more roaming area. But if we have a sneak peek at the nest, this is the MS 3.5. Now, this was the first nest I moved them into. I've still got it attached because they're not filling it full of rubbish, even though they're taking a dump in it, as you just seen then. But they're not moving their rubbish into here, so I keep it so I can gauge their expansion rates. Now, this is the MS 5.5, which was their second nest, still keeping the original attached. As you can see, this was very busy at one point, and it's still quite busy now, but nowhere near the levels that we've used to seeing. And as you can see, the workers are occupying this area, and there's very little to no brood in here anymore. But it's still really interesting because they need somewhere in the nest where the adults can chill out. It's not just about brood, it's about adults as well. And it helps free up that outworld space as well, rather than just lingering in there because there's not enough nest space. So there is plenty of them for them, space in here. Now, how much would these 2 nests fill if they emptied out the outworlds completely? I'd imagine that they'll probably, looking at it, they'll probably just fill up the MS 5.5 or this nest, and still leave the MS 3.5 free, which means I've still got room to expand. But as you can see, as I'm talking and you're looking around, there's not much going on here. There's not much brood. It's just literally adults cutting around with loads and loads of majors. Now, I love the majors, these guys. Now, the majors are still small. They're only about 5mm max. But because the workers are only about 2mm, they look huge. And you usually see them as a pan around. And what I love about that as well, see that little leg of a cockroach? They're actually using it as a tunnel. I don't know why they're trailing through it and not just going around it, but I just thought that was funny for some reason. But look at those majors. Oh, they look gorgeous. Just a shame they're so small still, but they still look massive compared to the main workers. Now, if we move on to the Gen 3 Wakooshi nest, you can see this is where the hub of activity is. Now, bearing in mind, it's a lot more difficult to film it in this nest than it is the other, because this is more corridory, where the other one's more open space. But what the corridor has afforded you is a lot more adult space, because they've actually got sides that they can cling on to, as well as the main traffic road here. And it's, like I said, I do apologise for the filming of this, but it's just the way it is. As you can see, look at that major. She looks huge, doesn't she? Oh, I love them. Anyway, the workers are now closing in, and they've also got brood on the sides as well. So this is why you get the narrow channels over this side. It's not all like this, as you can see. This is where it gets really narrow. And I do struggle to focus in and out because of the amount of workers on the roof. But that's always been the case with these girls, because they're always super busy. If you look at these numbers and how small they are and how big this nest is, I am looking at big numbers now. Probably, definitely in numbers, the biggest colony I've got to date, because they're absolutely huge. And I love the way they keep the channels free as well to keep the movement of the ants. It's just brilliant. And there's still so much brood here. Absolutely loads, but there's even more to see in a second. More brood. These guys, I don't know how much brood I've got, but, well, how many workers I've got, I can't guess, but it is a lot, and they are growing at a rapid rate, and they're still going to grow even bigger. I don't think it will be long before I fill the nests, that space I have got. I'll be able to fill them very soon, because just the sheer number of brood that I've got on workers. And yes, I know they don't live very long, as I explained earlier in this video, and they do keep a big graveyard that keeps me cleaning out, which is just a pain. But they're constantly recycling it. And don't forget, this is the main chambers actually where the brood's kept in the hydration bit. As you can look here, it's actually stacked to the high with brood. Now, if you want to get a gauge of how big these are, by all means check out my video where I attached it up a little while ago. And it is a big space and it's packed full of brood. Now, what I was saying before I seen this was the queen. Don't forget the queens, when their colony is well established, can produce up to 10,000 eggs a day. And I don't think I've got a huge amount, that kind of brood style yet, but definitely I have got a lot of brood, and these girls are absolutely crazy. But I still love them. They are hard work. They are, I keep saying it, that they're not for everybody, and they are super difficult. Now, as we go into the second chamber, hydration chamber, you see there's another big massive pile of brood here as well. There is a lot of brood. They are doing very well, and I do keep them well fed with protein, as you can probably see. 2 baby mice and a cockroach just yesterday, and it's already been processed, with some still working on the cockroach. But generally speaking, the mice are just about processed and done. Now, I'm sure people are going to be grossed out by this, but this is all that's left of one of the baby mice. They have collected all the bones together just here, and this is what's left. What they do with these bones, I'm kind of curious. Will they move them over into the other Outworld where the main tip is, or are they going to put it in a tip in this Outworld? I don't know, but I do think that's really interesting. Just look at the bones. I mean, these are absolute monsters. And like I said, they've processed 2 of these baby mice down in just 24 hours, easily 24 hours. And they're just finishing off the cockroach. They are very, very voracious eaters. And the more protein you give them, the bigger they'll get. And rather than being sensible about it, I'm obviously giving them even more protein. If you guys are thinking about getting these ladies, by all means, please watch my playlist, because I am giving you the reality of keeping Solenopsis and not the romantic, everything's cushy and easy that Ants Canada does. So please watch my playlist, please watch them, and seriously consider if these girls are for you. And I'll also reiterate the point of today's video, which is they are very, very hard work. I can't tell you how hard work they are. Hopefully I've given you some indication of the nightmare they are to clean out, the nightmare they are to contain, the nightmare they are to keep up with the growth. Just bear that in mind before you consider them as well. I got these from the ant lady, but unfortunately currently they're not showing on her website. But check out Ant Antics, because he has got them in stock. But yet again, there is a big but here. He is only selling them to people that can prove they're over 18, and he's got that all labelled on his website, so check it out. But I'll put a link to both the Ant Lady, so you can check out her website if you choose to. But I'll also put a link to Ant Antics, because, like I said, he has got them currently in stock. So if you are looking at getting these, please consider it. It is not an easy story. They are not easy ants to keep by any means of the word. Climate-wise, they're so easy to just feed them and they grow. But it's the looking after that's the pain in the arse with them. I love them. I don't want to get rid of this colony, because I do actually really enjoy keeping them, but they keep you on your toes. They are very, very time consuming, very difficult to keep on top of, but at the moment I'm managing fine. How big they grow, because I know they can get very big in numbers. Will I be able to keep up with it in the future? Who knows? Well, that's it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it informative, because I do these to give you guys the realistic expectation of keeping these. It is not pink and fluffy and all easy like it is with some other ant species. These girls require a lot of attention, a lot of hard work, and a lot of money. And I mean that not only in keeping up with their food requirements, but also their housing requirements. They are just one big bundle of difficulty when it comes to keeping these ants. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the like and subscribe, because you're only helping my channel grow. If you want to get in contact with me, check out Facebook, check out Instagram, just look for Ants Hood. But I do also a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. So please join me in giving a big, huge, massive thank you to Adam W, Adrian, Ant Antics, Anty Matters, David D, Jason W, Kevin R, Paul A, Pavance, PJGrant and Wakooshi. If you guys are interested in becoming a Patreon, by all means check the link out in my description below. But anyway guys, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to you. You can tell it's getting towards the end of my video. I'm struggling with my words. I say that, I'm struggling with my words anyway. But anyway, I'll start again. Hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing my next one. Bye-bye for now.